The Horizon fleet of humanity drifted quietly through the deep dark of space, its engines glowing a calm blue against the endless night. The lead ship, UHS Pathfinder, carried the flag of the United Human Systems. Its mission was peaceful exploration, searching for new worlds, new life, and perhaps new friends. Captain Mira Holt, standing tall in the command center, watched the main screen with thoughtful eyes. Her crew had been in space for months, scanning uncharted regions beyond human colonies. Most of their days had been quiet, empty signals, old radiation traces, and the occasional wandering comet. But today, something was different. Lieutenant Aaron Chen, the ship's sensor officer, frowned at his display. "Captain," he said, his voice uncertain, "I'm detecting a massive energy field. No, multiple signatures, large structures about 30 million kilometers ahead." "Could be another nebula," Mira said, stepping closer. Aaron shook his head. "Not a nebula, ma'am. These are organized readings. Metallic, uniform ships, big ones." The bridge fell silent. Commander Ria Torres, Mira's first officer, leaned forward.
"How big are we talking?"
Aaron hesitated. "Each one is at least 15 kilometers long, and there are hundreds of them. Possibly thousands." A ripple of surprise passed through the crew. "On screen," Mira ordered. The main display lit up, showing distant shapes emerging from the black. Long, sharp hulls gleamed under the starlight, ships like floating fortresses lined in formation. Their energy patterns pulsed in rhythmic order. "That is an armada," Ria whispered. Mira folded her arms. "Are we sure these aren't automated stations or wrecks?" Aaron shook his head. "Negative. I'm detecting communication chatter, power cores active, and multiple life signatures. They're alive and they've seen us." A new sound filled the bridge, a beeping alert, a communication request. "They're hailing us," Aaron said. The captain raised an eyebrow. "Already? Let's hear it." The screen flickered, then displayed an alien face. Its skin was dark gold, eyes bright like molten silver. The creature wore heavy armor and stood with proud posture. Behind it were banners of deep red and gold. "This is Grand Marshal Zyron of the Vernax Galactic Empire," the voice thundered, translated instantly by the ship's systems. "You have entered the sovereign space of the Empire."
"Identify your origin and purpose immediately." Mira shared a quiet glance with Ria. "Open a channel," she said.
Then, facing the alien commander, she spoke calmly. "This is Captain Mira Holt of the United Human Systems. We come in peace, exploring unknown sectors. We were unaware this space was claimed." The alien narrowed his glowing eyes. "Explorers?" he repeated with disdain. "Your vessels are small. Your signal is weak. Are you a colony of some minor race?" The bridge filled with quiet chuckles. Ria bit her lip to keep from laughing. Mira smiled politely. "No, Grand Marshal. We represent humanity, a sovereign people from the Orion arm of the Milky Way." Zyron's expression grew sharper. "Milky Way? A primitive spiral system. You are far from home, human. You will now transmit your technology data and power codes for inspection. The Empire must ensure no threat exists to its dominion." The laughter stopped. Ria leaned toward Mira. "He just told us to hand over our tech." Mira didn't respond immediately. She studied the alien's tone, arrogant, commanding, but also confident. He clearly believed the Vernax Empire ruled without challenge. Mira smiled again, a controlled and calm one. "Grand Marshal, with respect, our systems are private, but we are willing to open peaceful communication." The alien scoffed. "You misunderstand. The Empire does not negotiate with unknowns. You will comply or be detained." And the signal cut. Silence hung for several seconds. Then Aaron spoke softly. "They're locking sensors on us, Captain." "Defensive or offensive?" Ria asked. "Hard to tell, ma'am, but they're charging energy." Mira exhaled slowly, then looked to her crew. "Let's not panic. Bring up all sensor data on their ships. I want full technical analysis. If they want to show off their fleet, let's see what it's made of." For 20 minutes, the Pathfinder's advanced scanners studied the Vernax Armada. The alien ships were enormous, yes, but their technology was old. The propulsion systems were based on unstable plasma coils. Their shields ran on inefficient crystal matrices. Even their weapons used energy-focusing designs that humans had abandoned 300 years ago. Aaron couldn't hold it anymore. He laughed. "Captain, these ships look impressive, but their tech is ancient. Their shield harmonics are barely Class 3. Ria joined in, shaking her head. They think they're kings of the galaxy, but they're flying antiques. Mira smiled faintly, though she kept her composure. Let's not underestimate them. Arrogance can hide power. Still, the more the scans came in, the clearer it became. Humanity's fleet, though smaller, could easily outmatch the Vernax Empire's might. Suddenly, another alert beeped. "Captain," Aaron said, "they're sending us a data burst, a warning. They say if we don't obey in 5 minutes, they'll open fire." Rhea turned to Mira. "Orders?" Mira thought carefully, then said, "Send a response." Rhea smiled knowingly. "What should we say?" Mira walked to the center of the bridge, her voice calm and clear. "Tell them, humanity thanks you for the warm welcome. We will remain here peacefully while we calibrate our systems. Please stand by." The crew grinned. "They won't like that," Aaron said with a laugh. "That's fine," Mira replied. "Let's see how patient they are." Minutes later, the Vernax fleet moved. Massive ships turned their cannons toward the human flotilla. Blue energy gathered at the tips of their weapons. "Energy spikes detected," Aaron shouted. "Raise shields," Mira ordered. The alien armada fired. Beams of plasma light crossed the void, slamming into the human shields. But to the crew's amazement and amusement, the shields didn't even flicker. The hits were like rain on glass. "Status?" Mira asked. "Shields stable," Aaron said, smiling wide. "They didn't even drop 1%. Rhea chuckled. "That was their best shot?" Mira raised her hand. "Don't return fire." "Not yet." She watched the screen. The Vernax fleet was regrouping, confused that their attack had done nothing. "Now," Mira said softly, "send them a signal pulse. Low power, but tuned to their energy frequency. Let's give them a little light show." Aaron nodded, fingers moving over the console. "Pulse ready." "Fire," Mira said. A single bright wave of light shot from the Pathfinder's bow. It wasn't an attack, it was a signal. But when it reached the Vernax fleet, every ship flickered. Lights dimmed, engines slowed, and weapon systems froze. "Captain," Rhea said with a grin, "they're offline." "All of them." Mira tilted her head slightly. "That was too easy." Aaron laughed aloud. "We just shut down an Empire's armada with one signal pulse." On the bridge, the crew erupted in laughter. The tension broke, replaced by pure disbelief. "Get their signal back," Mira said finally, smiling despite herself. "Let's see how our new friends are doing." The screen lit again with Grand Marshal Zyron's furious face. "What have you done, human?" "Our ships, our systems, how is this possible?" Mira answered in a calm voice. "It must be a technical interference. We're sorry if our systems caused disruption. It wasn't intentional." Zyron's eyes burned with confusion. You dare mock the Empire?" "Not at all," Mira said gently. "Perhaps your ships simply need an update." The human bridge filled with quiet laughter once more. The alien commander cut the transmission again, his pride wounded. Mira leaned back in her chair, still smiling. "Record all data. Let's keep our distance and observe. I want to know who these Vernax really are." Rhea grinned. "You mean besides being the galaxy's biggest joke?" Mira laughed softly. "Let's not judge too fast. But yes, it does look like we found an empire that forgot how small it really is." As the human fleet drifted silently through the alien-controlled space, the laughter continued, soft, amused, and almost disbelieving. Humanity had come seeking discovery. Instead, they had found a galactic empire still living in the past. And for the first time in centuries, Captain Mira realized, humanity wasn't the newcomer anymore. They were the advanced ones. The old legends of the first explorers were true. Humans had grown faster than anyone expected. Now they had proof. The Vernax fleet floated silently in the black of space, their engines flickering weakly after the strange human pulse had passed through. Inside their ships, confusion and anger spread like wildfire. The mighty empire, rulers of hundreds of star systems, had been humiliated by a few small human vessels. Grand Marshal Zyron stood in the command hall of his flagship, his metallic armor reflecting the dull red emergency lights. "How can this be?" he growled. "Those small ships disabled our systems with a single pulse." "Explain now." His science officer trembled. "Marshal, their technology appears unusual. Their energy signatures do not match any known database. We are still analyzing the interference." "Unacceptable," Zyron shouted. "The Empire has stood unchallenged for 20,000 years. No unknown race can shame us." He turned toward the main screen, which displayed the small cluster of human ships still waiting calmly, their lights steady, their formation tight. They looked peaceful, harmless even. Yet the Grand Marshal felt unease. These humans had done something no other enemy had achieved. They had made him doubt. "Re-establish contact," he ordered. "I will speak to their leader." On the UHS Pathfinder, Captain Mira Holt was reviewing the data they had collected from the Vernax ships. Her team sat around the bridge, the mood light and amused. Aaron Chen pointed at the holographic scan. "Look at their power system, Captain. They still use static plasma regulators. That's at least 400 years old tech." Ria Torres leaned back with a grin. "They act like emperors, but their ships run on scrap." Mira smiled but stayed thoughtful. "They believe they are the center of the galaxy. Empires like that don't update themselves often. They depend on fear to keep others quiet." Before anyone could reply, the communication alert chimed again. "They're calling," Aaron said. "Put it through," Mira ordered. The face of Grand Marshal Zyron appeared once again, stern and proud though his eyes betrayed irritation. "Human Captain," he said in a heavy tone, "the Vernax Empire demands an explanation for your attack. You will deactivate your weapons and surrender for questioning." The bridge of the Pathfinder filled with quiet laughter. Mira kept her calm smile. "Grand Marshal," she replied, "we did not attack. We sent a simple signal, a peaceful data burst. Your systems reacted in an unexpected way. Perhaps they are sensitive." Zyron's expression darkened. "You dare mock us again?" "Not at all," Mira said gently. "We are only explorers, but we would appreciate it if you lower your weapons before someone gets nervous." "Lower our weapons?" Zyron repeated, shocked. "You stand before the fleet of the Vernax Empire, the strongest power in the galaxy. You should kneel in respect, not issue demands." Aaron whispered from his station, "Someone needs a reality check." Mira hid a small smile. "Marshal Zyron, we do not kneel. We stand, always." The alien commander's eyes flashed with anger. "You will regret your arrogance, human." And the screen went dark again. For a moment, the Pathfinder's bridge was silent. Then Ria laughed softly. "He's furious. I think we hurt his royal pride," Mira nodded. "He's not used to anyone talking back." She stood and walked toward the large window where the Vernax fleet could be seen as tiny dots of light. "But we can't underestimate them. Pride and fear together can make dangerous choices." Aaron turned in his chair. "Captain, do we stay or move?" "We stay," Mira decided. "Let's see what they do next." On the Vernax flagship, Zyron paced across the command deck. "They dare to defy us. These humans think they can mock the Empire. We will teach them fear." The first officer, Commander Velen, hesitated. "Marshal, their shields are far stronger than expected. Our last attack did nothing. Then we increase power." Zyron roared. "We will strike with the full strength of the fleet." "Marshal," Velen said carefully, "that may damage our own ships. Their energy frequency seems to disrupt our systems." Zyron slammed his fist against the console. "Enough excuses. Prepare the charge." Minutes later, deep in space, thousands of Vernax cannons began to glow. The armada aimed at the small human formation like wolves surrounding a deer. On the Pathfinder, Aaron watched the rising energy levels on his screen. "Captain, they're powering up again. This time it's massive." "Defensive formation," Mira said calmly. "All ships, raise shields and hold positions." The communication line opened once more. Zyron's voice boomed through the speakers. "This is your final chance, humans. Kneel or be destroyed." Mira looked directly at the camera. "Grand Marshal Zyron, we came here with open hands. You answer with weapons. If you fire again, we will defend ourselves. And you will not like the result." There was no reply, only silence. Then the Vernax fired. A wall of plasma beams crossed the void, bright as suns. The energy wave slammed into the human fleet, shaking space itself, but the human ships held firm. Their shields glowed softly, shimmering like blue glass, absorbing every hit without a crack. On the Pathfinder, Aaron laughed in disbelief. "Their biggest guns can't even warm up our shields." Ria smirked. "I think they just used their best punch." Mira remained calm, though her eyes gleamed with quiet amusement. "Send a low-level counterpulse." "Just a flicker." Aaron nodded and activated the command. A small, harmless-looking burst of light flew from the human flagship. It wasn't even visible to the naked eye. But a moment later, the Vernax fleet trembled. One by one, the alien ship's lights dimmed. Their engines flickered. Communication lines cut off. And again, the mighty armada froze in space. silent and powerless. Aaron turned to Mira with a wide grin. Same effect as before, Captain. They're completely offline. Rhea crossed her arms, smiling. Should we tell them it's just a basic harmonic pulse? I doubt they'd understand it. Let's keep it a secret, Mira said softly. No need to make them feel worse. Meanwhile, chaos ruled the Vernax flagship. Officers ran across the command hall shouting reports. Our weapons have shut down. Engines offline. All systems frozen. Siren's face turned pale with disbelief. This is impossible. No one can disable an entire fleet like this. Velen looked at him nervously. Marshal, perhaps. We should talk to them again. Zyron clenched his fists. Fine, open the channel. The human captain appeared again on the screen. Calm, polite, and almost smiling. Captain Holt, Zyron said tightly. What have you done to our ships? Mira replied in a calm tone. Nothing harmful, Marshal. It seems your systems are sensitive to our signal frequencies. Perhaps your engineers could adjust them. Are you mocking the Empire again? He asked, voice shaking. Not at all, she said kindly. We only want peace. But peace works best when both sides respect each other. For a long moment, Zyron stared at her through the screen. The human woman looked small compared to his massive frame, yet her eyes held steady confidence. It made him uneasy. Finally, he said, You will come to our capital world. The High Council will decide your fate. Mira tilted her head. A meeting with your leaders? That sounds interesting. Very well, Marshal. Lead the way. The Vernax officers looked shocked at her quick acceptance. Zyron's anger mixed with confusion. He had expected fear, but the humans showed none. Then follow us, he said stiffly. Do not deviate from our path. Understood, Mira replied with a calm smile. The connection ended once more. As the Vernax fleet slowly recovered and turned toward their home system, the human ships followed behind like shadows. Inside the Pathfinder, the crew was still buzzing with quiet laughter. Aaron said, Captain, we're really following them home? Isn't that risky? Maybe, Mira said, watching the stars ahead. But it's also a chance to learn. If they're an empire, we'll see what kind of empire it is. Rhea smirked. And if they try anything? Mira's eyes shone. Then we'll remind them why humans always end up laughing. The crew laughed again, not out of arrogance, but from the strange joy of discovery. They had found something rare in the galaxy, an empire that still thought it ruled everything, unaware that time had moved on. And now, humanity was about to walk right into the empire's heart, with smiles on their faces and curiosity in their minds. The Vernax believed they were bringing dangerous strangers into custody, but in truth, they were inviting legends into their home. The human fleet moved quietly through the void, following the massive armada of the Vernax Empire toward the heart of their territory. The alien ships were impressive, each like a floating fortress, glowing with golden lights and lined in perfect formation. Yet the humans could not hide their amusement. On the bridge of the UHS Pathfinder, Captain Mira Holt leaned over the navigation console, her eyes scanning the fleet ahead. Rhea, keep a detailed record of every ship. I want to know their formations, shield capacities, and weapon systems. Rhea Torres nodded, a grin on her face. Already on it, Captain. Honestly, they're like giant tin cans lined up in space. Impressive to look at, but not much else. Aaron Chen, scanning the Vernax power signatures, shook his head. Captain, I've never seen energy systems this inefficient. They're huge, but every subsystem is centuries behind current human designs. We could disable half their fleet without leaving the Pathfinder. Mira's eyes glimmered. That's why we never underestimate appearances, Aaron, but yes. This gives us an advantage. Inside the Vernax flagship, Grand Marshal Zyron was growing increasingly uneasy. Human ships, he said, his voice tense, you will obey the Empire. You will come to the capital system and show no resistance. Mira's calm voice returned over the communication channel. We intend to follow you, Marshal, peacefully. We have no desire for conflict, yet we must remain prepared for your safety and ours. Zyron growled but said nothing. The human's polite defiance frustrated him more than open hostility would have. As the fleets drew closer to the Vernax home system, the humans noticed subtle patterns in the alien formations. The Vernax ships relied heavily on intimidation, clustering massive ships at the front and leaving smaller vessels at the rear. Their firepower was impressive, but coordination relied almost entirely on rigid protocols. Aaron whispered to Rhea, Captain, if we wanted, we could slip through their fleet without them even noticing. Their sensors are predictable. Mira smiled faintly. Don't tempt fate. Observation first. Despite their amusement, the humans remained vigilant. The Empire's pride could make them dangerous if provoked. When the fleet reached the edge of the Vernax system, the Empire attempted a final demonstration of their power. They formed a massive defensive ring around a large planet, their weapons charged and ready. Zyron's voice came over the channel. Human Captain, this is your final warning. We will allow no intrusion beyond this point. Stand down or face annihilation. Mira replied with calm confidence. We do not intend to intrude, Marshal. We are explorers. But we cannot ignore the path you've chosen for us. The Vernax fired a synchronized attack. Energy beams erupted from hundreds of ships converging on the human fleet. The display was terrifying. A wall of destructive power meant to cow any intruder. Aaron's eyes widened. They're really going for it this time. Rhea crossed her arms. Let's see how much their best can do. The human fleet's shields flared brightly as beams struck. Every impact was absorbed effortlessly. Not a single ship was damaged. The Vernax energy bounced against the shields, harmless as rain on glass. Mira gave a simple order. Prepare a low-level pulse. Nothing aggressive, just a demonstration. Aaron activated the system. A faint, invisible pulse traveled toward the alien fleet. It was harmless, designed only to interfere with energy systems tuned to similar frequencies. Moments later, the Vernax fleet began to falter. Their shields flickered, weapons went offline, and engines stuttered. Hundreds of massive ships floated helplessly like statues in space. Captain, Rhea whispered, a smile spreading across her face. I think they just learned humility. Aaron laughed. We barely even tried and half their fleet is offline. Mira remained calm, observing the display. This is not about power, she said softly. It's about strategy, and they've underestimated us. Zyron could hardly believe his eyes. His fleet, the pride of the Vernax Empire, was incapacitated by a single human maneuver. Impossible, he roared. No species can match the Empire. Velen, the first officer, cautiously approached him. Marshal, perhaps these humans are more advanced than we thought. Their ships, their shields. Silence. Zyron barked. He turned to the main display. Open communications. The screen lit up, showing Mira calmly sitting at the Pathfinder's command chair. Marshal Zyron, she said politely. Your ships are magnificent, but your energy systems are outdated. It seems your fleet was unprepared for a simple interference pulse. We mean no harm, but we cannot allow our path to be blocked. Zyron's glowing eyes narrowed. You dare lecture me? Mira smiled. Not lecture, Marshal, observation. Consider it a friendly demonstration, Velen whispered to Zyron. They are confident. They are not afraid. Zyron's fists clenched. The human's calm defiance and laughter at the situation burned him more than any attack could. Back on the Pathfinder, Rhea leaned back, still grinning. Captain, they actually believe we're joking. I think they think we're smaller than we are. Mira chuckled quietly. They assume size and weapons equal strength. But humans have always been underestimated. It's an advantage we've learned to use well. Aaron shook his head in disbelief. And to think we were supposed to be explorers just recording alien tech, Mira nodded. And now we are teaching history lessons without firing a single true weapon. The Vernax fleet slowly recovered, though caution replaced arrogance. Zyron's voice was calmer but still firm. Human Captain, you will follow us to the High Council. There will be consequences for your actions. Mira inclined her head. We understand, Marshal. We will come peacefully. But know this, we will always protect ourselves, Rhea whispered. Protect ourselves? We didn't even need to defend. Mira smiled faintly. Sometimes showing restraint is its own power. As the fleets moved toward the Vernax capital, the humans continued to observe. Every ship, every formation, every energy pattern was recorded. They began to notice weaknesses, systems too rigid, communications too centralized, tactics predictable, Aaron said quietly. Captain, if it comes to a real fight, we have all the information we need. Mira nodded. We hope it doesn't come to that. Knowledge is power, yes, but peace is stronger. The crew smiled. They had seen the Empire's greatest strength falter, and it had been surprisingly easy. Yet they understood the importance of humility. Even the most advanced humans could not underestimate pride. especially the pride of an empire. Cyron, aboard his flagship, frowned as he watched the humans' calm demeanor. He had faced countless species, each thinking themselves strong only to be crushed. But humans, they did not fear him. They laughed. They calculated. They were confident in a way the galaxy had never seen. Perhaps, Felon whispered, they are not a threat, but something else. Something older. Something remarkable. Siren ignored him. Yet even he could not shake the unease settling in his chest. The human fleet continued silently, following the Vernax to the capital world. On the bridge of the Pathfinder, the crew shared quiet smiles. Rhea said, "You know, Captain, they'll never forget this day." Mira nodded, gazing at the stars ahead. "No, Rhea, but neither will we. The galaxy is wide, full of empires and full of surprises. And humans, we are capable of more than most imagine." Aaron laughed softly. And apparently we're funny too. They couldn't even handle a little pulse without panic. Mira chuckled quietly. Yes, laughter can be powerful if used wisely. And sometimes it's the best weapon of all. The human fleet sailed forward, their lights bright against the black void, calm and confident. They had stumbled upon a galactic empire, and for the first time in centuries they had seen it tremble, not from fear but from a quiet, unstoppable human presence. Somewhere deep in space, Captain Mira Holt smiled. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy was about to notice. The human fleet drifted through the Vernax home system, its lights bright and steady against the black void. Ahead, the massive cities of the Vernax capital planets gleamed, towers of gold and red reflecting in space. The humans had never seen anything like it, an entire civilization built for power and control. Yet even amid all that grandeur, the humans remained calm. Captain Mira Holt stood on the bridge of the UHS Pathfinder, watching the alien capital rise slowly on the sensors. She noted every detail, fleet formations, patrol patterns, and communication frequencies. "Rhea," she said, turning to her first officer, "observe carefully. This is the heart of the Empire. Every action here tells a story." Rhea Torres nodded, her eyes fixed on the data streaming across the holographic display. "Captain, even their cities are organized for intimidation. The scale is staggering, but it's all rigid. No creativity. Everything is meant to show control." Aaron Chen, scanning alien communication networks, added, "And their data security is old-fashioned. They encrypt, yes, but not enough to hide their operations from us. It's almost cute." Mira smiled faintly. "Cute, perhaps, but never underestimate pride and fear." On the Vernax flagship, Grand Marshal Zyron watched the humans follow them with a mixture of irritation and caution. His officers whispered anxiously. "They are unafraid," said one. "Most species would cower before a fleet like this." "They behave as if they know something we do not," another added. Zyron's glowing eyes narrowed. "I do not like it. Prepare the High Council chamber. The humans will be brought before our leaders. I want answers, or this will not end peacefully." When the human fleet entered the Vernax capital system, they were immediately escorted by alien vessels, forming a tight corridor through space. Every human sensor recorded the activity, noting weak points in communication links, patrol intervals, and fleet responses. "Captain," Aaron whispered, "they're fast, yes, but predictable. Their empire depends on fear and obedience. They don't improvise," Mira nodded. "Observation is power. Remember that. We're here to learn, not fight, yet knowledge itself is our weapon." The humans remained quiet as the massive Vernax ships guided them to a designated meeting point above the capital planet. The humans' vessels glided like calm shadows beside the intimidating armada. In the council chamber of the Vernax capital world, the humans were escorted into a vast room filled with alien delegates. Towering statues of past rulers loomed in the background. Zyron's voice echoed in the hall. "Humans," he said, "you have challenged the might of the Vernax Empire with your audacity. You will explain yourselves before the High Council." Mira stepped forward, her hands clasped lightly behind her back. "We come in peace. Humanity has explored the stars for centuries. We did not intend to challenge the Empire. We merely followed the path of exploration and discovery," the Council murmured. "Centuries?" one elder said. "We were told humans are newcomers, barely capable of interstellar travel." Mira smiled gently. "Our species has grown quickly, perhaps faster than you anticipated. We have colonies across many galaxies, with technology far beyond what you currently see. A wave of shock passed through the Vernax High Council. Their records had underestimated humanity. The humans in front of them, calm and polite, seemed more than capable, more advanced than anyone had claimed. One council member, a thin, gold-scaled Vernax named Sarge, spoke cautiously. "You claim centuries of advancement? Your fleet seems small, yet you disabled our armada with ease. Explain this discrepancy." Aaron leaned toward Mira. "This is their moment of realization." "The suspense is fun," Mira nodded quietly. "Let them discover it themselves," she addressed the council. "Vernax officers are proud and disciplined, yes. But humans think differently. We value creativity, innovation, and courage. Our technology reflects our adaptability, not just raw size. We learn, we evolve, we overcome challenges without relying solely on force." The council exchanged whispers. None had expected such honesty nor such confidence. Meanwhile, Zyron's pride struggled against reality. He had commanded fleets that spanned countless worlds. Yet here were humans, small in size yet capable of incapacitating his armada effortlessly. It challenged everything he believed. "You speak of peace," he said finally, "yet your people show no fear before an empire." "How can this be?" Mira smiled faintly. "Fear is only useful when it protects life. When fear governs actions, it can become a weakness. Humans understand this instinctively. It is why we survive and why we endure." Velen, Zyron's first officer, whispered softly to the marshal. "Perhaps they are not only powerful, but wise." Zyron glared at him. "Silence. Wisdom is irrelevant when measured by strength." Yet, he paused, his pride battling his unease. "Yet we must respect their audacity." Over the next hours, the humans shared information about their colonies, trade networks, and exploration missions. They described their AI systems, advanced propulsion technologies, and peaceful alliances across distant galaxies. The council listened in growing astonishment. One elder, Orlix, asked, "And you claim all this without seeking conquest?" Mira nodded. "Yes, humanity seeks understanding, not domination. Power without purpose is empty. But if challenged, we defend ourselves. Our strength is a reflection of our unity, our intellect, and our courage." The council members were silent. They had expected arrogance or threats, yet found honesty, intelligence, and calm confidence. Aaron whispered, "Captain, they're realizing just how underestimated we are." "It's beautiful." Mira allowed herself a small smile. "Let them think. Understanding is the first step toward respect." Later, the humans requested to view the Vernax fleet up close. Zyron hesitated but finally agreed, curious about the humans' confidence. The Vernax fleet glided in formation, massive and bright, their weapons still active but subdued. Mira studied every ship, recording the weak points and noting the patterns of patrol and repair. Rhea commented, "Captain, they're predictable." "Very predictable. If it came to combat, we'd have the upper hand easily." Mira nodded. "Knowledge is more powerful than action. Today we learn. Tomorrow, who knows?" As the human fleet returned to the Pathfinder after the observation, Aaron shook his head in disbelief. "I still can't believe it. We've been inside the heart of an empire and no one even challenged our freedom." Rhea laughed softly. "We didn't just survive. We impressed them, without firing a single weapon." Mira looked at the stars ahead. Impressed or terrified, it doesn't matter. Humanity is no longer the newcomer. We are capable of walking among empires and teaching lessons without war. That is the true power of our species. Aaron tilted his head. "And they thought we were just explorers. They thought we were small." "Never underestimate humans," Mira said, her voice calm but firm. "We are persistent, adaptable, and united. That is why we endure." Back in the council chamber, the Vernax High Council murmured among themselves. The humans had challenged their assumptions, shattered their pride, and shown calm confidence in the face of overwhelming intimidation. Sarge spoke quietly. "Perhaps they are not only powerful, they think differently, act differently. They might be remarkable." Zyron did not reply. He could not yet admit the truth fully. But deep in his mind, he realized that humans were unlike any species the Vernax had ever encountered. They were intelligent, fearless, and united in ways the Empire could not easily understand. The humans had arrived with curiosity. They had discovered an empire, and in doing so they had reminded the galaxy that strength was not only measured by size, numbers, or weapons. It was measured by courage, intelligence, and unity. As the humans prepared to depart the Vernax capital system, Captain Mira Holt addressed her fleet. Today we have learned who the Vernax really are. Not invincible rulers, not masters of the galaxy, but a civilization proud of appearances, bound by tradition, and unprepared for what humanity can do when we work together. Rhea smiled. And they don't even realize it. Aaron laughed quietly. We didn't just explore a system, we explored history. Mira's eyes glimmered as the fleet turned to leave. Let them think, let them learn. One day the galaxy will understand the truth about humanity. And when that day comes, it will be our unity, courage, and intelligence that stand above all. The human ships glided through the stars, calm, confident, and quietly powerful. They had entered the heart of a galactic empire and emerged without fear. And somewhere, across the endless expanse of the universe, the laughter of humankind echoed once more, gentle, amused, and unstoppable. The human fleet left the Vernax capital system behind, gliding smoothly through the endless dark of space. The stars stretched out in every direction, cold and distant, yet alive with quiet light. Captain Mira Holt watched the display ahead, feeling the same calm confidence she always carried into the unknown. Behind them, the Vernax Empire reeled. Their fleet, once proud and invincible, had been humbled by humans who did not fight aggressively, who did not fear, and who were united in ways the Empire could not understand. On the bridge of the UHS Pathfinder, Rhea Torres leaned back in her chair, still shaking her head in amazement. Captain, they're going to be talking about this for decades. No centuries, humanity. They won't forget. Aaron Chen laughed softly. I can imagine their reports. Small intruders disable the Grand Fleet, smile and leave. Unbelievable. Mira allowed herself a quiet smile. It is not just about laughter, Aaron, it is about perspective. Humans survive because we are adaptable, clever, and united. The galaxy must learn that strength does not come from intimidation alone. Meanwhile, across the Vernax home system, the High Council gathered in the vast golden chamber of the capital world. Grand Marshal Zyron paced in front of the council table, his glowing eyes full of unease. They followed us, obeyed our commands, and yet, he muttered, they showed no fear. They disabled our fleet without even trying. How is this possible? Councillor Sarek spoke softly. Marshal, they are not only powerful, they think differently. They are united. They act with purpose, without hesitation, without arrogance. It is remarkable. Zyron clenched his fists. Do not flatter them. They are humans, primitive by Vernax standards. Primitive? Another council member said in disbelief. They outsmarted us. They walked among us with calm confidence. They may be the most advanced species we have ever faced. Zyron remained silent. He did not want to admit it, but the humans had done what no other species could. They had arrived and quietly demonstrated superiority without raising a single true weapon. Back on the Pathfinder, the human fleet continued its journey. The ships were calm, their engines humming in perfect harmony. The crew relaxed slightly, sharing quiet laughter over the events of the last days. Aaron leaned over his console, scanning the data they had collected. Captain, we've recorded every ship, every communication, every energy fluctuation. If we ever needed to defend ourselves, we have all the tools. Rhea smiled. And we didn't even have to fight. Just observation, strategy, and patience, Mira nodded. Exactly. The galaxy may expect humans to be reckless, aggressive, or fearful. But we are none of those. We survive, we endure, and when necessary, we teach lessons quietly, with laughter if needed. The laughter of the crew was soft, not from arrogance but from the joy of discovery. They had encountered a vast galactic empire that believed it ruled everything, yet had learned that appearances could be deceiving. In the quiet of space, Mira reflected on what humanity had accomplished. They had not conquered, not stolen, not destroyed. They had simply been themselves, curious, courageous, and united, and that, she thought, was enough to leave a lasting impression on the galaxy. Weeks passed as the human fleet traveled to the edges of Vernax-controlled space. The Empire, still recovering from the shock, had sent no further attacks. Their leaders debated in council chambers, whispering rumors and legends of humans who laughed in the face of the strongest fleet in the galaxy. Zyron, once proud and certain, now paced the halls of his flagship in quiet frustration. How can such small creatures act with such confidence? How can they follow us, observe us, and leave unharmed? Felon standing beside him finally spoke. Marshal, perhaps humans are not what we assumed. They are more advanced than even our records suggest. They are not here to conquer, yet they command presence. They inspire respect. Siren's eyes narrowed. Respect? He paused, then growled softly. Perhaps, but we will never forget this. Never. On the human side, Captain Mira gathered her senior officers in the Pathfinder's briefing room. Maps of Vernax systems, fleet formations, and planetary data covered the holographic table. We have learned much, she said quietly, not only about their technology, but about the pride, fear, and rigidity of a powerful empire. Humans can navigate challenges like this because we work together. We think creatively, and we remain calm when others panic. Aaron nodded. And we did it without firing a single true shot. Exactly, Mira said. Our strength lies not only in our ships, our weapons, or our technology, but in our unity, courage, and intelligence. That is the lesson the Vernax and the galaxy will carry forward. Rhea smiled. And they'll probably laugh. Nervously. Mira laughed softly. Perhaps. But let them remember it well. Sometimes a quiet demonstration is louder than the strongest weapon. As the human fleet reached safe distance from Vernax space, the stars ahead seemed endless, filled with new possibilities. The crew felt a sense of pride, not from victory, not from conquest, but from the knowledge that humans had arrived in a galaxy that underestimated them. Aaron tilted his head, gazing at the stars. Captain, we came here to explore, but we left our mark. Without leaving a trace, Mira smiled. That is the essence of humanity. We adapt, we endure, and we inspire, even without realizing it. Rhea added, and we laughed while doing it. That's the best part. The crew chuckled quietly, their laughter echoing softly through the halls of the Pathfinder. It was a sound of joy, of relief, and of triumph in a way that did not require weapons or destruction. In the Vernax Empire, the High Council continued to debate the humans' actions. Whispers of admiration, disbelief, and fear spread among the delegates. They are different, Sarek said quietly, not just in strength or technology. They think like no one else. Zyron remained silent, staring at the stars outside the council chambers. For the first time in his life, he had met beings who challenged not only his fleet but his assumptions about the galaxy itself. They are remarkable, he finally muttered, though he did not speak it aloud to the council, and they will not be forgotten. Back on the Pathfinder, Mira gathered the crew on the bridge one last time before leaving the system entirely. The fleet was calm, moving through the stars with steady engines and quiet confidence. Today, we have seen the galaxy at its grandest, Mira said. We have witnessed an empire's pride, its power, and its mistakes. But most importantly, we have reminded ourselves why humans endure. Curiosity, courage, and unity are our greatest weapons, Rhea smiled. And laughter is a pretty good one too. Aaron nodded. I'll say, I've never enjoyed a battle we didn't even fight so much. Mira looked out at the stars, feeling the quiet hum of engines beneath her. The galaxy is vast. There will be more challenges, more empires, more tests of courage. But humanity will always face them, together, and we will always endure. The crew laughed softly again, a sound that carried through the human ships like a gentle echo in the void. It was not mockery nor arrogance. It was a sound of pride, joy, and unity, the essence of what it meant to be human. Far across the stars, the Vernax fleet scanned the empty space where the human ships had once followed them. Not a trace remained. No signal, no debris, no disturbance. Yet the legend of humanity spread silently. Whispers of the small, fearless explorers who laughed at the might of the Empire reached distant planets, inspiring both fear and admiration. Somewhere among the infinite stars, Captain Mira Holt and her fleet continued their journey. They had come seeking exploration, discovery, and understanding. And they had left behind a simple, powerful message. Humans endure. Humans adapt. Humans inspire. And humans, when faced with arrogance or fear, sometimes laugh. That laughter, soft but undeniable, echoed across the galaxy, gentle, amused, and unstoppable.